Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hans Bosch. And in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I will tell you a little bit about roadside assistance. Probably not the most interesting topic in this conference, but I'll give it a try. Because we truly believe that the traditional roadside assistance will transform in the next few years because of the availability of vehicle data. And it will transform in a way that will enable insurance companies like you to create more customer touchpoints and increase customer satisfaction and loyalty. So my name is Hans Bosch, as I said. I work for ARC Europe Group and Intellematics. The ARC Europe Group is the market leader in B2B roadside assistance. So we offer wide-labeled roadside assistance solutions to car manufacturers, leasing companies, fleet companies, and insurance companies, of course. We operate in 40 countries, and our partner here in Poland is Starter24. ARC Europe is owned by some of the major automotive clubs in Europe, and those very same automobile clubs also own another company called Intellematics. And Intellematics is working on a global scale to basically transform, or maybe I should say disrupt, the roadside assistance business using the vehicle data which we have today, but also leveraging all the millions and millions and millions of breakdown records that we have from a historical point of view. So you can imagine that if we serve around 60 million consumers globally on roadside assistance, that we get an awful lot of data, which we're now trying to use to start predicting and preventing roadside incidents. So that's my presentation will be about. As you probably all know, in the near future, it's already happening, there will be a lot of vehicle data available. Today, most of the times, we still need OBD dongles or aftermarket devices, which we have to install in the car. The advantage is that it offers us a really rich set of data, but there are also some challenges in terms of cost, in terms of fitment and compatibility. But because of the obligation for the car manufacturers to install equal in every new car, new model from last year on, we expect that the embedded connectivity, so installed when the car is manufactured, will be really increasing. So the penetration will rise to, let's say, 90 to 100% within the next 5 years when we look at newer cars. So this data will be available at the OEM, and we also expect that those OEMs will start providing access to the data to third parties. There's a lot of lobbying going on there, and they are absolutely not there yet where we want to be, both in terms of richness of data as well as cost. But we see some promising steps forward as well. So we see the likes of BMW and Daimler offering access to their APIs, and we see also some other mass market brands like PSA and Ford moving in that direction. And we can do an awful lot of relevant things with that data. And when we focus on roadside assistance, we can use the data to, as I said, transform basically the business. Because today, the roadside assistance business is a very reactive service. We are sitting in the call center the whole day, and we're waiting till a customer phones us up, and then we come into action. For us, the next step, using the data, is what we call center diagnostics. So again, we are sitting in the same call center, we're waiting till the customer phones us up, but then we can access the data and we can see what's happening in the car. So if we can interpret the data, we can send the right patrolman, we can send him with the right spare part. If we can see that we cannot repair the car, we can send immediately a tow truck or a replacement vehicle to that particular point. So in that sense, we can do cost cutting, we can do first time right, we can increase the customer satisfaction, etc., etc. For us, the next step beyond that point is really to start predicting and preventing breakdown. As I said, based on the massive amounts of data we have and we combine it with the live status of the vehicle, we can start predicting and preventing breakdowns. So we call that smart roadside assistance. And basically, smart roadside assistance means that your car can tell us and can tell you exactly what's wrong with it and what the next best action is. And this will enable you as an insurance company to increase the customer contact point and the customer satisfaction. Of course, we will do that in an emergency situation. There can be a crash, so we can detect the crash and we can come into action. Another emergency is a roadside incident. But we also, I will talk to you a little bit more about predictive stuff, but we're also focusing on everyday faults, because predicting a breakdown is very relevant to an insurance company, to a roadside provider, but from a customer point of view, it only happens maybe once every 2 or 3 years. But the real problem occurs for a driver when there is a dashboard or a warning light lighting up on the dashboard. And this is also what we are focusing on, because imagine when you phone up or you contact the driver and you say, hey, we checked your car and this component is likely to fail, so you have to see a garage. Okay, that's interesting, but the first reaction could be, hey, what's wrong with my car? You're trying to sell me a new battery or a new component or whatever. But the customer really faces a problem immediately when there's a warning light popping up at the dashboard. He will have questions. What does this exactly mean? Can I still drive? For how long can I drive? What does it cost to repair? Etc., etc. So what we are enabling ourselves to be alerted when the warning light comes up, as soon as the driver sees it, so we can contact him at that particular point of time and provide them an advice. As I said, this will increase the customer touch point, but it's also a commercial opportunity. Just to give you a few examples, which you see here on the screen. So when the brake pad light is on, it's an opportunity to quote for new pads. Or when the car is due to maintenance, you can steer him back to a garage network for maintenance and get probably a referral fee from this garage network, etc., etc. So there are an awful lot of commercial opportunity arising from the warning lights and the fact that you can be alerted from that. So that's the everyday fault. As I said, we are really focusing on the prediction and the prevention of breakdowns. Those two are very different things. So the prediction of breakdown you can do based on data, but to prevent a breakdown, you also need to have a driver who's following up your instructions. So I can predict when a battery will fail, but if the driver doesn't replace the battery, he will have a breakdown anyway. What you see here on this screen is a research that has been conducted by the Automobile Association of the UK, the United Kingdom, and they looked at a big fleet of vehicles, so this is about thousands and thousands of vehicles, and they came out with this report where they say those specific breakdowns can be predicted. So in terms of the coil or the DPF, there's an 81% chance that we will predict this breakdown. Of course, that doesn't count for all the breakdowns. So when you look, for example, at a flat tire or something, that's much harder to predict. You can do something with it, but it's much harder to predict than a diesel particulate filter or whatever. What this scheme says is that when you look at the 40 days, that the point of time that we see a diagnostic trouble code related to the coil in the vehicle, then there's a 92% chance that those same vehicle will have a breakdown in 40 days, between that point and 40 days. So you have an opportunity time of 40 days to contact the driver and to get this fixed. And this is a huge opportunity, again, to increase customer contacts and customer loyalty. With, in the end, when you look at all the data we have, what we are working on is what's in the red circle. So what we want to provide to our technical teams and to you as an insurance company or whoever who's contacting the driver related to roadside assistance services is the likelihood that a breakdown will occur and the prediction of the possible cause and the component that needs to be replaced. So for this particular vehicle, when we look at the historical data, when we look at the live vehicle data of this particular vehicle, it says that the likelihood that this car will have a breakdown is 43% within 1 month, and there's a 50% likelihood that the ignition coil will be the cause. And if you got this information, and I'm not telling you that we got for all the vehicles in the world today, we can predict this kind of stuff, but for a massive amount we can do it today because of the the huge amount of breakdown historical data we have, if you got this information, you can really start predicting and preventing breakdowns. A few use cases we are looking at, I will mention two. One is the car detects there's something wrong with the diesel particulate filter. It's alerted to the call center, and the call center, or you send a message through the app or whatever, informs the driver. And in this case, the solution is not to go to a garage, not to send a patrolman, but simply drive at least for 10 minutes, a journey over 40 miles per hour, and then the blockage will be removed in the filter and the problem is solved. Another one, another use case is there's something wrong with the coil. The technical help desk is informed about that, and they interpret this data from this particular vehicle. They say, we cannot fix this along the roadside. We cannot send a patrolman or whatever, so we need to schedule a meeting or an appointment in the garage network, and the driver is guided to the garage network to get it fixed. So these are examples we are working on. Just to summarize how this can support your objectives. So we're looking at 4 areas of interest here. The first one is claims and cost reduction. So this is what I mentioned in the beginning, the call center diagnostics. So we can do fewer breakdowns through prognostics. We can do first time right, the right patrolman with the right component. We can do a reduction in job time because we got the right component and the right patrolman in place. Improved repair rates. So we're looking at customer growth, increased touch points, increased customer loyalty, increased customer satisfaction should lead to higher retention rates and higher acquisition because you can add more value with your car insurance. ATV stands for average transaction value. The commercial opportunities here, when you steer people back to garage networks, when you can do tire and battery sales, etc., you should get referral fees from these garage networks, which is a real commercial opportunity for you. And then for me, insights and data is more about the question mark, what the value is. What we can provide is a lot of information on a vehicle, make, model, year basis, not only technical information, but also driving behavior and movement analytics. And obviously, you got more understanding of the insurance market, where the value for you is from this data than I can do. So just to summarize my presentation, we truly believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, the roadside assistance will transform from a reactive service to a proactive service. Today, the roadside business is about fixing cars who have problems, and tomorrow, the business will be about keeping vehicles moving and keeping the drivers satisfactory. That was my presentation. Thank you very much for your time.